Trust me, you don't want to miss this video. Stay tuned.
It's Lee. It's Lee. Lee.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Lee Learns. I am Lee, and I hope that everybody's doing well and staying safe. So today, I really want to talk about something that I learned. So, of course, sometimes with this channel, I'll go over things that I've learned, even though most of the time it will be about things that I'm trying to learn. But there are things that I do learn, and I'd like to share them with you. So today we're going to be talking about car buying. So recently, this year, well, I should say this year has been pretty crazy in Leland. Um, I've gone through three cars this year, so not a fun experience. I'm going to try and talk about it all, run through it a little bit. Just bear with me. I think that there'll be people out there who'll get value from this. Maybe not everybody, but there'll be people out there that will go, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So I'm just going to run through everything and hopefully be able to give some advice to people. And like always, if you want to comment, share your own situations, please feel free to comment, share, subscribe. That would be great. Yeah, like this video, do all that stuff. All right. So car buying. Let's run through it. So about July, I'm going to say July. I had some issues with my car. I had a Hyundai i45, and it had some engine issues that weren't too yeah, they were not practical in the long run to actually get that going. I'm going to go through that later on. So pretty much had to go get a new car and all that sort of stuff. So had the Hyundai i45, and then I pretty much began looking for a new car because that one wasn't going too well. It was not redeemable. So I'll run through that later. All right. So here's what happened. So started looking, and I found that online there were a lot of people when they were selling their cars. It was very hard to get a sort of a message back from them. So you'd message them, "Hey, I'm interested in your car," and you wouldn't hear from them. So that was a bit annoying. So sort of got tired of that. That was a bit annoying for me because I prefer getting cars privately. I think car yards, yeah, they got their overheads, they got their situations and their own sort of things that they are after, and they're not very keen on the whole negotiating thing. So if you're trying to get to a thing where I've got a little bit of money here, but I don't want to spend that much, they're not really going to be too flexible most of the time. I think if you've got a lot of money, yeah, it can be a different scenario. But anyway, I'm more keen on the private thing at this point. So it was a bit of a letdown. So I basically decided to go and try a couple of car yards. I went to one place and they were not flexible on the price. It was a nice car. It was actually a Mazda. Yeah, they were like, no, we're not going to go any lower than that. And it's like, well, that sort of kills it for me. Yeah. So after that, I went to another car yard, and that wasn't fun. I got to tell you. Um, they they put me in another Mazda car there. So two Mazdas. And this one didn't sound too good. Like, it sounded really weird. Like the other Mazda was beautiful. If they'd come down on the price, I probably would have bought it. But this one here was just didn't seem right. And they wanted something like 13, 14,000 for it. I'm like, I'm out of here. Anyway, they stopped me and were sort of, well, what sort of car do you want? Like, oh, I think we've got cars near, they get you into the office. Uh, Now we they've got like a database. They had a database in there, and they get you to they go through all these cars and they try to find a car. And they came up with like a Holden Cruise. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. But this is the big mistake. So if a car is not on the lot, don't ever buy it or don't ever have any interest with it. Just say, well, it's not on the lot. I can't look at it. Um, Now there are of course exceptions to this. If it's something new, that's a different story. But if it's a and that's for new car sales or whatever. Sometimes those cars yards will actually have cars that they bring in later on, and they might get you to test another car in the meantime to that will be a similar car. That's a different story. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about used cars that they say that they've got somewhere else. So, oh yeah, we've just got to get that in. If it's not on the lot in that situation, that's a different story. Um, that's what happened with me. So they got me to sign a document. Big mistake. Don't ever sign anything, unless of course you go over the car and that's you want the car and all that. That's different. If you haven't got the car, you know, the used car, don't sign anything. But they sort of told me, um, and then of course like, they got me the money. They got me to put down $500 deposit, and then they're like, "But you just sign that. That's just a guarantee that, basically, that you committed to this car, to actually giving it this car a go. And if the car doesn't meet your requirements, you pretty much we ask you to give us another go." So stupidly did that. That was my fault. And so after that, all right, they gave me a loan car to try out, to use whilst I waited for this car. Anyway, a few days later, I get a call and they say, "Oh, hey, we got this, you're going after this car, all that. Uh, but I've got a new car coming in. This car's better. It's a Volkswagen. I can't even think of the name of it. Volkswagen. Oh yeah, so much better, so much better. Um, you ought to go after that." And I'm like, okay. And he's like, "When can you get here?" And I said, "Well, I can't really get here at the moment. I'm working, but I can get in tomorrow to go through it and that." And yeah, 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 yeah. That'd be, he was reluctant, but yeah, over time he pretty much agreed to that. So I went to the place the next day. So I drove this hire car over there or the car that they loaned me. And when I got there, they had no idea why I was there, which is always a bad sign, really. Like, "Hey, everybody, hi." I felt like it would be like an episode of Cheers where you walk in and they go, "Hi." Nobody knew what I was there for. They recognized me, but it was really, really, "Oh, man, what are you doing here?" sort of thing. And I just said, "Well, this is the situation. I've got a call from this other guy," um, which is funny, and I'll go into that. I'm going to try and go into that. Um, so, yeah, uh, they're like, "Well, we're supposed to have the car here, but we'll need you to sign this other bit of paper. It's to say it's like a formality." And I'm like, "Oh, radio. All right, well, I'll give the car a go." And so I did that. And then a few days later, um, the there was nothing from him. It was just like no response, no nothing from them. And I started to feel a little bit uneasy. Um, so I went down and spoke to him, and by this time I'd actually found a private car, um, which I was happy to. I wanted to go try that out, and yeah, it was not very good. One of the guys there was saying, "Well, we're going to make you pay the entire amount." So what was it, like 10,000 something? And I'm like, "Well, that's not going to happen." Um, Basically, all this time he's been just more or less screwing me around. Um, I had a theory that there actually weren't cars around, or there was an issue. They actually said to me, "Oh, well, we actually did have a Volkswagen here for you to try, but oh, we don't know what happened to it." And I'm like, "Well, what's going on here?" Anyway, so pretty much went and bought this other car, private car. It was more of the car I wanted, so I wanted like an SUV. And these other people were telling me, you should have this smaller car. You'll be able to get in car parks. Well, like I have a problem with car parks. Don't know. Um, Not really a priority. I was after something like an SUV, more or less. No, I was pretty open, but that's if it, that's where I was sort of more or less going. Anyway, so I bought this car. It was an SUV 4-wheel drive. So probably about 1 or 2 days later, after buying the car, I think it was like a day later, I had a call, and the guy says, well, like he didn't know what was going on. He's like, so when are you coming to get this car? And this is the guy that called the other day. And I'm like, well, I already bought one. Oh, and I went through the situation with him on the phone, and he's like, and I said, so I'll be after the deposit back. And he said, oh, no, 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 can't do that. Um, and pretty much I said, well, um, mentioned fair trading. And he said, well, I'm going to take you to fair trading, which didn't make sense because you can't take me to fair trading. I think he meant legally do something, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, yeah, so that was that. And then so I started getting in touch with the head office and that, and they said, well, yep, we're going to give you back the money, which actually turned out to be my saving grace. Um, but the other guy called back, and it's funny because he said, um, so I told him what sort of car I bought, and he was, oh, you bought a hunk of crap, and that's a Korean car or something. And I was like, well, that's a little bit off because if is Hyundai is Korean, right? They're made in Korea. Yet this car that I bought ended up in their lot. They would sell it to somebody. So I didn't understand their approach on that, his approach or his views on that. Because it's like you would sell that anyway. That was in your thing, and you're telling me it's a hunk of crap. Anyway, whatever. Um, so went to fair trading. Fair trading asked for documentation. I had a few things, but the thing I had was a screenshot of the we'll put the money in your account. In the meantime, I'd been doing some research. I found out I wasn't the only one that this happened to. A lot of people in the same boat, a lot of pretty bad things. Um, and so I pretty much, more or less, eventually got the money back, but they said you shouldn't have signed anything. And I'm like, yeah, I know, big mistake. Um, and then, of course, I think it was, oh, I can't remember. The timeline is so crazy now because it all happened very close. So I've got this new car that I bought, not new, but secondhand, and I was involved in a car accident. And of course, that was a write-off, and it doesn't take much to write off a car these days. Um, you know, you can hit like a bit of dirt on the road, or what somebody said the other day, you could hit a Christmas beetle and your car would be written off. Probably true in a lot of cases. So anyway, car was written off. So I sort of thought about it, and thought about what this bloke said at the car yard, and it sort of was interesting because here he was lecturing me about my whole situation with the car, and he's bought a piece of garbage, and I found out later on he said I've got to learn the consequences to my actions, and it's funny when I went to that yard, I know the guy there, he actually got chastised in front of everybody for leaving the car windows down and all this water got in there. And it's like, well, shouldn't really be giving out advice. But anyway, because of his attitude, if it had been a bit better, I probably would have went, I might go there and give them another go to get a replacement car. But instead, I went and bought the same model as the one that he badmouthed. So the same brand. It's been pretty good car. Bought it privately. Yeah, it's been a great buy. But so we all have those times where things just seem to go wrong. That was my crazy car thing. Everybody around me was like, "Oh, what could be next?" That was it. It wasn't very good. And it's a bit of a crazy thing, me doing this. Wasn't actually going to do this video, not for a while anyway. But I was watching an episode of King of the Hill last night. People are aware of it, I'm not sure. Where the lead guy, Hank, I sold propane and propane accessories. That's a pretty bad imitation, but I'll tell you what. He was buying a new car, and he had like a car dealer that he always went to, and the guy always sold him sticker price, like of the car. Turns out his wife had negotiated a different price, like 2,500 off the price or something. And then he came in, she went out, and then the guy pretty much gave him the sticker price for it. And it had been a long-standing practice since he first bought his car or something. And it's like, yeah, that's what a lot of them places are like. They want to get their best deal. But it's like he kept saying to him, don't tell anybody I gave you this special price, you know. But it's a sticker price. So yeah, that sort of encouraged me to do this. So I've got a few tips here. I'll go over them. I've written them down so I don't forget. So we've got don't sign anything. Make sure you never sign anything unless you've gone over everything. It's in great, you agreed to buy the car, everything seems fine. Yeah. So, but if the car's not on the lot, it's a used car, don't sign anything, don't leave anything there. Yeah, like I said before, different story if it's messing up my hair. Different story if it's a new car, because it's a different situation entirely. But always know what you're doing. That brings me to the next point. Do your research. Research the cars. Research everything. The cars that actually, I think it was like the Volkswagen. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm not really sure about the Cruise, but they weren't mechanically great. I don't think, in my opinion. I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm not interested in driving a Volkswagen. That's just me. Go figure. Other people are different, but that's not. I like a sedan or something like that. What I've got now, SUV, is pretty good. So yes, research everything. Research the place. Research just every aspect, whatever you can. Take your time if possible. The second time around after having my accident, I got a hire car. and I didn't really have a lot of time to sort of muck around. So I was pretty much trying to really look for another car whilst driving this hire car because the company said you're going to have to hurry up. And after they pretty much declared that the other one was a write-off, here you go, hurry up, here's your car, hurry up and give back the car and go get a new car, another car. So yeah, so that happens. So just take your time if you can. If you can't, just be wise about what you're doing, I guess is the best way. Just you got to still try and do your research and do all that sort of stuff. Listen to your gut. That's an important one. So you always want to listen to that. I knew something was wrong with the car yard. Just didn't sit right with me. I always find too that they're always pushing to finance it, oh, well, maybe if you want to finance it, and that works for a lot of people, but yeah, I'm always a bit iffy about financing something that's going to depreciate, so a depreciating asset. So yeah, listen to your gut. All right, so another part I want to go over here, and this is about the car that I had, the Hyundai i45, if you remember. So of course I had engine issues with that car, and this is just something I picked up from that situation. If your car dies and it's not redeemable, so what do I mean by redeemable? So in my situation, they told me it would cost $8,000 to fix the engine. So I'm not going to. So the 8,000, I think it came to 8,500, including labour. So I sort of thought, well, a lot of money for another engine, which could lead to other problems. Also, I kind of thought the mechanic who quoted me that was fairly busy, so I could be without a car for like, God, 4 or 5 weeks, because he's not going to. If it's going to be over a period of time, he's not going to be pretty much closing down his other operations to get this car going. I figured that I would be without a car for a while. So that's what I mean. If it's not something that's not going to cost a lot of money to fix, so it's not redeemable, you're actually at a win. This is what I've written here. So I want to sort of go over that. So if it's not redeemable, it's a win if it's at your house. So if your car is not working, it's not operating, and you've pretty much gone over it, and it's something that's going to cost a lot of money, or they pretty much say it's a loss. If it's at your house, it's actually a win, because I'll go over that in a minute. But if it's not, make sure you transport it to your house. So why do I give that advice? Because as what happened with me, I was able to get my car, and it was pretty bad, like it was rattling. But the car back to the house, no, it was only like a 5-minute drive. If it's at your house, you've actually, and you can get these places to come pick up the car, like scrap metal places, and a lot of these places will pay money for it. But if it's like on a nature strip somewhere where it's a different story, unless you can transport it to your house, you're kind of at a loss there. You got to try and figure something out. So if it's there and it's no rego issues or anything like that, this is where I had a lot of people say, well, when are you getting rid of your old car? When are you getting rid of that? And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter. So I was like going around and checking out all these different places, different cars, cash for cars, where they'll come pick your car up, give you a bunch of cash. And I was like, listen, got this car, told them all about it. And I pretty much if they weren't meeting my demands or what I was after, I pretty much would move on to the next one. So I had about 3 or 4 going at the same time. But um, yeah, there was a little bit of a situation with that, but I won't get into that another time. But uh, I was able to sell the car, even though I could have probably done a little bit better, which I won't go into that story. Like I said, I actually ended up selling it for about, say, 1,500 or so. Yeah, about that. So it's not terrific. But like I say, I've had other cars where I've traded them in and I've got stuff all for that price. We'll give you, 500 bucks for it. So yeah, I guess it was sort of a win. Um, yeah. So I think that's about it. I think that's about it with the story. So if you're in that situation, just don't sign anything. Do your research. Take your time if you can. Listen to your gut. And yeah, bit of a bonus tip, I guess, there with the if your car dies, you have that sort of situation happen to you. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Please let me know what you think, and please subscribe. And I'm doing things a bit bare bones at the moment, but a lot of great content coming down very soon, coming up very soon. Uh, yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that. Comment. I want to hear people's comments. What happened with? Do you have a car situation you want to go over or talk about? I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, so I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I shall chat to you later on. All right, bye. Thank you.